In this video, I'll show you how to make a cohort analysis in Excel. This model will help you understand how customers behave, how much revenue each cohort generates, and how profitable your customer acquisition is. Best part is you just need to set this up once and you have it as a template forever. So firstly, we'll go over the assumptions, followed by the modeling, then calculate some of the key metrics, and finally visualize them. Let's get into it. Here's the Excel file we're gonna be working on, and firstly, a cohort is simply a group. In this case, it's gonna be a group of customers who joined in the same month. Now let's go over some of the initial assumptions up top. So the initial customers is how many customers you have at the start of this. Let's suppose that in this particular case, it's 1000 customers. Customer growth, this is basically the percentage growth month to month. So basically in month 0, you have 1000, and from there, month 1, maybe you've optimized your advertising strategy, maybe the product is slightly better, so more and more people want to sign up over time, hopefully. Let's go ahead and add an assumption here that will have 8% growth. Then we have the average revenue per customer, and let's assume this is gonna stay fixed at $50. The CAC here is the customer acquisition cost. So how much does it cost you to acquire one customer? Let's suppose we put 75 in here. This basically means that if you spent, let's say, $7,500 on a marketing campaign and you got 100 customers out of it, you have a CAC of 75. The other important part of these assumptions is the retention rate. This basically says down over here, how likely are these customers to continue, let's say, subscribe to your specific software, for instance, over time. So in month 0, that's obviously going to be 100%, as that's basically when they bought. Then over time, this number is going to go down. I'm just adding some assumptions in here. And the reasoning is that maybe they don't use the product, so they unsubscribe after a first month, or they don't think it's as good as they initially expected, it's expensive, etc. So I'm gonna fast forward how I add assumptions here. Here are the full assumptions that I've made. As you can see, over time, the drop starts to become slower and slower, which makes sense as probably by then, some companies or individuals are actually using the software a lot. So it would hurt them more to unsubscribe when it's later in the month. If you don't have your own data for some of these assumptions, a good way to go about it is looking at industry benchmarks or some competitors to know, hey, in my particular industry, what's a good customer acquisition cost that I should strive for, and what are the typical retention rates. Towards the end of the video, we'll convert this into a visual, but first let's go over the modeling here with the customers by cohort. On a row by row basis, we have that full cohort. So in month 0, this is their behavior over time. Then we've got those in the second group or the second cohort, which is those that started in month 1. And this is going to be their behavior over time. So that first one in group month 0 is simply going to be equals to the initial number of customers. Over time, we said that there is some customer growth at 8%. So that's what we're going to compute going down here. It's going to be this figure multiplied by, in parentheses, 1 plus that 8%. Then we want to press the F4 key here to lock that, close the parentheses and hit enter. So this is basically how it's going to grow over time. To double check, let's go on that very last one and see if it's still locked. You can see it's still fixed on that customer growth. Now horizontally, looking at the months going forward, we're going to apply that retention rate. So it's going to be that initial figure, and we want to lock that, but such that we're able to drag this down. So in order to do that, we just want to lock it on the column C. Then we need to multiply that by the actual retention rate, which is that 85%. This retention rate applies to all of the cohorts, so month 1, month 2, etc. So that means that we need to lock this one on the row side so that it doesn't go down. Now hit enter there, we have that first one. We can drag this down like that. You can see that's working correctly, and then Control R to drag that to the right. If I, for instance, double click on this last one, it should still be applying to that initial number of customers and then multiplying that by the retention rate. Because this is for an initial number of 12 months, we have to delete the data that's in the future. For this one, which started in month 1, we shouldn't have a very last one in the end. This one, we're not gonna have these 2 months. Then in month 3, we're not gonna have these 3 over here, etc. So let me fast forward that. Awesome, so now you can see that the first one under the month 0 is for all 12 months right here. and then it's for only 11 months, which makes sense as this is data that's going to be in the future. Now that we have the number of customers by cohort, we can work on the actual revenue by cohort. Before we go over that, if you want to become a better Excel user, I've teamed up with HubSpot to create this 50 Excel hacks guided template to boost your productivity. By clicking the link in the description, you can access this resource completely for free. It includes 10 of my personal favorite Excel hacks and a further 40 hacks to cover even more scenarios. The download includes instructions on how to use them and sample data to practice with. HubSpot even includes a short demo video for each one. Personally, I find this template most useful to refresh my memory on some of the key hacks, as I have that sample data to practice with too. So I recommend visiting the link in the description below to download this 50 Excel hacks guided template I built with HubSpot to boost your productivity. And thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Moving down to the revenue by cohort, this is going to be equals to the number of customers multiplied by the actual average revenue by customer assumption we have up here. We'll lock that one by pressing the F4 key and hit enter. Now I can drag this down and drag this to the right. So Control D to drag down, Control R to the right there. And let me get rid of all these zeros. We now calculated the revenue for a specific month, but we don't know the total revenue by cohort. Let's work on that next. If we scroll lower down over here, we have some customer lifetime metrics, which is what we're going to be working on. Firstly, the total revenue for a specific cohort month. That's going to be pretty simple. It's just the sum of all of this part right here. And I can just drag this down with Control D. If I check on that last one, it should be taking the sum of all of these months. In this case, they're empty, so it's just that last one. Then we've got the customer lifetime revenue. So this is going to be equals to the total revenue divided by at month 0, the number of customers. Hit enter there. So that's now on an individual customer basis. Let me double click there to drag it down. This tells us for each customer that I acquire, it's going to generate this much in revenue. We now know quite a lot about the customer revenue. We have it on an individual basis, even on a total basis, but we don't actually know much about the profitability of the whole operation, which is probably even more important. Let's work on that next year. First with the customer acquisition cost, or the CAC. And for this, remember we had an assumption up top, which is this 75. So now I'm just gonna use that one and then drag it all the way down to the bottom there, like that. And with that, we can calculate the customer lifetime value. This is a profitability metric that measures the customer lifetime revenue and then subtracts that by the cost per acquisition of each customer. Double click there. Once we have the customer lifetime value, it's pretty common to express this as a multiple or a ratio, so we can compare it with different companies. After all, not all companies have the same price point, so converting it into a multiple is a good way to see an apples to apples comparison. So for this, we're gonna go to equals, take the customer lifetime revenue and divide that by the CAC. Hit enter here and just drag this down to the bottom with Control D. And typically for multiples or ratios, you add an X in the end. That's common in financial modeling. Let me show you how to add that by pressing Control 1. Then go over to custom. Down over here, we're happy with 2 decimal places, but at the very end, I'm just gonna add an X. You can see what that looks like in the sample. Hit OK there, and this is the final version. Overall, you might think if it's anything above a 1, it's profitable, right? After all, for every dollar that we've spent, in this case, we've generated 5. But if we generated 1.1, that would still be a profitable operation. But that's not entirely accurate, as this is only accounting for the cost of acquiring the customer. But in a business, there's many other costs, like salaries, you've got taxes, you've got, if it's an e-commerce, the actual cost of shipping the good, of manufacturing the good. There's a lot more to it, and generally, as a rule of thumb, something like a 3 or a 4 time multiple is a lot more healthy than just a 1.1. In this scenario, you can see that the ratio goes down over time, and this is not because, let's say, our product is getting worse, but rather it's because we don't have data. Right here, we're missing 1 month. As you can see right above, we're just missing 1, then we missed 2, etc. So over time, that multiple is going lower and lower. So really, the most trustworthy data is what we've currently got in month 0. Now that we've completed the modeling part, it means that we can run different assumptions as we have this as a dynamic model. For instance, up top, back over here, in this blue part, this is where all of our assumptions are. I can say, hey, maybe I think that our product is gonna be very good and we're gonna continue to add new features. So I should add a higher retention rate of, let's say, 88%. If that's the case, you'll notice how our numbers update. And same thing going forward, maybe I want it to be generally more aggressive. So I can easily make those changes. Over time, as we get better at marketing and more people are aware of our product, maybe the customer acquisition goes down to, let's say, 70. With that, you'll notice that all of our values are going to update. We have a much higher multiple, for instance. That said, because there are so many numbers at the moment, it is a bit hard to read. So let's go over how to visualize these findings. Firstly, it can be useful to add a retention chart. So we're going to select all of these retention assumptions and the months and go over to insert, and typically this is expressed as a line chart. Let's add that, something like this. That said, this doesn't look great right now. I'm going to actually add some data labels, and I'm also going ahead and adding some markers. So format data series, click on this button right here, and then I'm going to go over to marker, add some kind of a fill, and make sure that I actually have a built-in marker to show that. Maybe the inside can be square like this. Maybe I can make it a bit bigger to something like a 6 and make the color stand out, maybe with a white and a solid border line around it that's a bit thicker. Now for these values, right now you can't see them that well, so let me actually change where they're located, maybe to the left side, actually maybe above like that, so we can see them a lot better. You can see that over time we have a clear trend where the retention rate goes down, but it does stabilize a bit more. If you don't think that's reasonable, of course you can make changes to it under this assumptions area and see what that looks like on a 12-month basis. Other than that, for each cohort, I think we can add some kind of conditional formatting. This does look a bit overwhelming with so much data. You can either do it on a row by row basis, so for this particular cohort, and change the conditional formatting there, or you can also do it on an entire basis. So let's suppose I go row by row. I would just select this first one, then go to color scales and scale it like this. So obviously the first month is a lot darker because it's a higher number. Then I'll go to the second one and do the same thing. Or alternatively, you can do it for all. Just go to conditional formatting, data bars, color scales, and select all of them at once. Okay, that's gonna be for this part. And you can do the same thing with the other one. If you want to customize this further, you can just go to more rules and change the colors the way you like. I hate to say it, but this model does have some limitations. Let's go over some of the key ones. Firstly, we don't have any discounting at the moment. That means that on a revenue basis, we're assuming that 27,000 today versus 27,000 in 12 months is the same thing. That's not entirely accurate, as today it's more valuable because there's things like inflation, there's an opportunity cost, there's a certain risk with it being in the future. All of those we would actually need to discount back to the present ideally. So in month 0, what would this amount be? It would be slightly less. Also, this model now assumes a flat revenue per customer. In this case, the average revenue by customer is 50. Now, typically it's gonna be a bit more complex than that. That's because maybe over time you decide to raise the prices, and in that 12-month period, of course in this case it's an average, but that's not as accurate. Also, you might run some kind of promotion so people get in on some smaller deals, or sometimes the pricing is usage based where it's not going to be a fixed number. Finally, looking at the retention curve, it's the exact same for all of the cohorts. So whether you're the cohort in month 0 or the cohort in month 10, you have the same retention curve. That might not be accurate because there's things like seasonality, or maybe in the summer months, people are more keen to subscribe to your product and stay for longer. Things like that don't really get accounted for here. That said, for understanding the fundamentals of cohort analysis, especially if you're a very young startup, you're trying to figure out what the right pricing is, or you're trying to fundraise, this is a very good initial model for you to practice and see how different things affect your outcome when it comes to both revenue and profitability. Next up, you should learn how to build a budgeting and forecasting model with this video over here, or you can take our complete finance evaluation course over here. Hit a like and a subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.